Dr. Woo-Jin Kim stepped out of his sleek hovercar onto the crystal walkway of New Terra's most exclusive district. The towering buildings around him gleamed with holographic advertisements in dozens of alien languages, while spacecraft hummed overhead in perfect formation. Tonight was special. His son Da-yoon had just graduated from the prestigious Galactic Science Academy with the highest honors in xenobiology. "Dad, this place looks incredible," Da-yoon whispered, his eyes wide as he took in the magnificent cosmic palace restaurant. The building itself seemed to float above the ground, supported by anti-gravity pillars that pulsed with soft blue energy. Through the massive transparent aluminum windows, they could see elegant diners from across the galaxy. Tall centaurians with their silver skin, graceful aquarians with flowing tentacles, and wealthy human families in their finest attire. Hye-jin adjusted her traditional Korean hanbok, which she had modernized with subtle bioluminescent threads that shimmered in the evening light. "Your father worked extra shifts at the research station for 3 months to afford this celebration," she said proudly, squeezing her husband's arm. Subin, Da-eun's twin sister, bounced excitedly beside them. At 15, she was already showing promise as a stellar engineer, and her neural implant flickered occasionally as she processed the complex architectural data of the building before them. "The gravitational stabilizers alone must cost more than our entire house," she marveled. As they approached the entrance, a robotic doorman scanned their reservation codes and welcomed them with a pleasant chime. The lobby was breathtaking, walls of living crystal that changed colors based on the emotions of nearby visitors, and a fountain that defied physics by flowing upward in spiraling helixes. "The Kim family, party of 4, Woo-Jin announced to the vegan host station. The manager was a tall, pale humanoid with elongated features and cold silver eyes, a species known for their advanced technology but notorious arrogance toward other races. The manager's expression immediately shifted from professional courtesy to barely concealed disgust as his gaze swept over the Korean family. His bioscanner had already identified their human DNA signatures, and his lip curled slightly. Kim family," he said slowly, tapping his holographic display with deliberate delay. "I'm afraid we're completely full tonight." Woo-Jin looked confused, glancing around the spacious dining area where at least 20 tables sat empty, their energy field placeholders glowing softly to indicate availability. "But sir, we made this reservation 3 weeks ago. I received confirmation codes and even paid the deposit." Hye-jin stepped forward gracefully, her hanbok rustling softly as she activated her wrist display. The holographic confirmation floated between them, showing their reservation details, payment confirmation, and even the special dietary requests they had submitted. "Here's our documentation. We specifically requested the window table overlooking the Nebula Gardens." The vegan manager barely glanced at the proof, waving it away dismissively. "Those reservations must have been cancelled due to a system error," he said with a cold smirk. "Our quantum computers sometimes malfunction when dealing with certain clientele." At that exact moment, a group of blue-skinned Andromedan nobles swept through the entrance, their expensive gravity-defying robes trailing behind them like liquid starlight. They had no reservations, no appointments, no prior contact with the restaurant. "Our honored guests from the Andromedan cluster," the manager exclaimed, his entire demeanor transforming instantly. "Please write this way to our premium section. We have your usual table prepared." He personally escorted them to the exact window table the Kim family had reserved, bowing deeply as he seated them. Subin felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment and anger. Around them, other diners, mostly wealthy aliens but also several human families, had stopped their conversations to watch the humiliating scene unfold. Some looked sympathetic, others seemed uncomfortable, but none spoke up or offered support. A family of Martian colonists at a nearby table whispered among themselves, their children staring openly. An elderly Centaurian couple shook their heads, disapprovingly, but continued eating their bioluminescent soup without intervening. "Perhaps," the manager continued with mock helpfulness, "your family would be more comfortable at the food court in the lower levels. They serve simpler fare that might better suit your palate." Woo-Jin's hands clenched into fists, his years of scientific discipline warring with his natural desire to defend his family's honor. He had dedicated his life to studying alien biology, had published research that helped improve relations between species, had even received commendations from the Galactic Council for his work promoting interspecies understanding. "This is discrimination," he said quietly, his voice steady despite his anger. "This is business," the manager replied coldly. "We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone who doesn't meet our standards." Subin's advanced neural implant had been recording everything automatically, as it was programmed to do whenever it detected elevated stress levels in her biosignature. The device captured not just video and audio, but also the emotional readings of everyone present, the restaurant's own security feeds, and even the manager's biosignatures showing his deliberate deception. As the Kim family was escorted toward the exit, past tables full of silent witnesses, Subin made eye contact with a young human girl about her age, sitting with what appeared to be her alien adoptive parents. The girl looked ashamed and mouthed, "I'm sorry," before her guardian quickly turned her attention back to her meal. The walk to their hovercar felt like an eternity, each step echoing their humiliation across the crystal walkway as other families, entering the restaurant, stared and whispered. The Kim family's modest apartment on New Terra felt different when they returned that night. The same warm lighting that usually welcomed them home now seemed dim and cold. Their celebration dinner had turned into takeout containers from a small human-owned noodle shop in the lower district, eaten in silence around their kitchen table. Da-Yoon pushed his food around his plate, unable to shake the image of those empty tables at Cosmic Palace. "Dad, something doesn't add up about tonight," he said finally. "That manager knew exactly who we were before we even spoke." Wu Jin nodded grimly. "I noticed that too. His bioscanner lingered on us longer than normal. He was profiling us from the moment we walked in." Subin activated her neural implant's holographic display, filling their living room with a three-dimensional recreation of the evening's events. The recording was crystal clear. Every word, every facial expression, every moment of their humiliation, preserved in perfect detail. "The implant captured more than just what happened to us," she said, manipulating the display to show heat signatures and emotional readings. "Look at this data from other human families in the restaurant. Their stress levels spiked whenever the staff interacted with them. This isn't random rudeness, it's systematic." Da-Yoon's eyes lit up with the same intensity he showed when solving complex equations at the academy. "Subin, can you trace the restaurant's corporate structure through the Galactic Business Registry?" His sister's fingers danced through holographic menus as her neural implant interfaced directly with the planetary data networks. Streams of information flowed around them like digital waterfalls, corporate documents and financial records materializing. "In midair, got it," she announced as a massive corporate tree appeared before them. "Cosmic Palace isn't just one restaurant. It's owned by Galaxy Feast Corporation, and look at this." The display zoomed out to show a sprawling network of connections spanning dozens of star systems. Da-Yoon whistled low as he processed the scope of what they were seeing. Galaxy Feast owned over 800 restaurants across 30 different worlds, from the ice moons of Saturn to the desert planets of the Kepler system. Each location catered to wealthy clientele from various alien species, but the pattern was unmistakable. "Dad, look at these customer demographics," Da-Yoon said, pulling up statistical analyses. "In systems where humans make up less than 10% of the population, Galaxy Feast has no human employees and virtually no human customers. But in human majority systems, they suddenly become inclusive and market themselves as diversity-friendly." Hae-Jin joined her children at the holographic display, her business instincts kicking in as she studied the corporate structure. "They're playing both sides," she realized, "discriminating against humans when it's profitable, pandering to us when they need our money." As they dug deeper into Galaxy Feast's operations, disturbing patterns emerged. Internal corporate communications, leaked by whistleblowers over the years, revealed training programs that taught managers how to identify and discourage undesirable customers without explicitly violating anti-discrimination laws. "Look at this training manual," Subin said, her voice filled with disgust. "They actually have a section called Maintaining Atmosphere Standards that's just coded language for keeping humans out of their premium locations." Dayun's analytical mind was already racing ahead, processing the financial implications of what they were discovering. Subin, pull up their quarterly reports for the last 5 years. I want to see their expansion timeline. The holographic display shifted to show Galaxy Feast's aggressive growth strategy. They had borrowed heavily to fund rapid expansion across multiple star systems, opening flagship restaurants on every major trade route and colony world. They're hemorrhaging money, Dayun breathed, his eyes wide as he traced the debt patterns. Look at these leverage ratios. They've borrowed against future earnings from restaurants that haven't even been built yet. Their entire empire is held together by projected profits that depend on maintaining their exclusive image. Meanwhile, Subin had uploaded her recording to the human social networks, starting with a simple post. This is how Galaxy Feast treats Korean families who just want to celebrate their son's graduation. Within hours, their story had spread across human colonies like wildfire. The neural networks that connected human settlements throughout the galaxy lit up with similar stories. Families from Mars shared videos of being ignored for hours at Galaxy Feast locations. Human business travelers reported being seated in hidden corners or told that premium menu items weren't available to them. Cargo pilot named Jin Woo from the Outer Rim colonies sent a message. Same thing happened to my family on Titan Station. They made us wait 2 hours, then said the kitchen was closed, while alien customers got served immediately. A teacher named Minho from the academic district posted, "My daughter's graduation dinner was ruined the same way. Galaxy Feast manager said our reservation was under review for 3 hours. The stories kept coming. Hundreds, then thousands of human families sharing their experiences of subtle but systematic discrimination at Galaxy Feast restaurants across the galaxy." Yi Jin watched the growing wave of responses with the calculating eye of someone who had spent years building business networks across star systems. As the regional coordinator for the Human Trade Alliance, she maintained contacts with entrepreneurs, suppliers, and service providers throughout known space. "Kids," she said slowly, a plan forming in her mind. "What if I told you that 60% of Galaxy Feast suppliers are human-owned businesses, and that most of their non-alien staff across all locations are human?" Dayun looked up from the financial projections he was studying. "Mom, what are you thinking?" Hyejin smiled for the first time since their humiliation at Cosmic Palace. "I'm thinking that Galaxy Feast's prejudice might have just given us the biggest business opportunity in galactic history." Dayun spread his arms wide as holographic financial charts filled every corner of their living room, turning their modest apartment into a war room of glowing data streams and cascading numbers. His neural implant worked overtime, processing thousands of corporate documents simultaneously, while his enhanced analytical abilities painted a clear picture of Galaxy Feast's hidden vulnerabilities. "Dad, Mom, Subin, look at this," he said, his voice trembling with excitement. The main display showed Galaxy Feast's debt structure like a three-dimensional spider web, with red warning indicators flashing at critical stress points. They're not just in trouble, they're about to collapse under their own weight. He manipulated the hologram to zoom in on specific financial instruments. "See these quantum bonds they issued to fund their expansion? They're all coming due in the next fiscal quarter, right when their seasonal revenues hit their lowest point. They need to refinance 8 billion galactic credits, but their credit rating has been dropping steadily." Subin leaned forward, her engineering mind immediately grasping the implications. "So if someone were to buy up these bonds when they're trading cheap?" "Exactly," Dayun grinned. "Whoever controls the majority of their debt essentially controls the company. And right now, these bonds are selling for 30 cents on the credit, because investors think Galaxy Feast is too risky." Wu Jin studied the projections with the same methodical approach he used in his xenobiology research. "But son, we're talking about billions of credits. We don't have that kind of money." "We don't," Dayun agreed, "but we know people who do." He pulled up a new display showing the interconnected network of human businesses, research institutions, and family enterprises across the galaxy. "Dad, your scientific papers are published in 43 different star systems. You've worked with researchers who have connections to major funding sources." Hyejin was already activating her communication array, her fingers dancing across. holographic contact lists that spanned half the known galaxy. The Human Trade Alliance represents over 2 million businesses, she said thoughtfully. Many of them have been looking for ways to break into the premium hospitality sector, but couldn't compete with established chains like Galaxy Feast. As the family worked deep into the night, their apartment became a hub of interstellar communication. Hyejin's business network came alive as word spread through encrypted channels about their plan. Her first call went to Dr. Young-Soo Lee, a successful food distributor who had built an empire supplying fresh produce to human colonies throughout the Outer Rim. Young-Soo, it's Hyejin Kim. Remember how you always said you wanted to teach those arrogant restaurant chains a lesson? Well, I have a proposition for you. Meanwhile, Woojin reached out to his colleagues in the scientific community. His research had saved alien lives, improved interspecies relations, and earned him respect among beings who valued knowledge over prejudice. Dr. Kenji Nakamura, who ran the xenobiology program on Mars, was immediately interested when Woojin explained their situation. They discriminated against your family. Kenji's hologram flickered with indignation. Woojin, your research on Andromedan biochemistry literally prevented a plague outbreak on their homeworld. These Galaxy Feast people have no idea who they're dealing with. Subin took charge of mobilizing her generation. Her neural implant connected her to student networks across dozens of worlds, from the prestigious academies of Earth to the technical schools on the mining colonies. Within hours, she had organized protest coordinators on 30 different planets. Listen up, everyone, she broadcast to thousands of young humans simultaneously. This isn't just about boycotts or holding signs. We're going to show the galaxy what happens when you underestimate human creativity and determination. The students responded with enthusiasm that surprised even Subin. On Europa Station, engineering students began designing gravity-defying protest displays that would float outside Galaxy Feast restaurants. On New Tokyo, art students created holographic projections that would tell the stories of discriminated families in beautiful, impossible-to-ignore visual narratives. But the real breakthrough came when Da-un discovered that several Korean families across the galaxy had been quietly accumulating wealth and looking for investment opportunities. His research revealed a network of successful entrepreneurs, doctors, engineers, and business owners who had faced similar discrimination but channeled their anger into building their own success. "Dad, look at this," Da-un said, pulling up profiles of dozens of families. The Park family on Centauri Prime made billions in spacecraft manufacturing. The Choi family controls 3 major shipping lanes. The Lim family owns the largest food processing plants in the Outer Rim. What made these families perfect partners wasn't just their wealth, it was their shared experience of being underestimated and excluded by established galactic businesses. They had all built their fortunes by proving that human ingenuity could outcompete alien corporations that relied on prejudice and exclusivity. Woojin made the first contact with businessman Han Sol Park, whose family had been refused service, at a Galaxy Feast restaurant on their anniversary just 2 years earlier. "Han Sol, this is Dr. Kim from New Terra. I believe we have some common interests regarding Galaxy Feast Corporation." The response was immediate and enthusiastic. "Dr. Kim, I've been waiting for an opportunity like this. My family controls enough liquid assets to buy 20% of Galaxy Feast's outstanding debt. How many other families are you bringing into this?" As word spread through carefully maintained networks of trust and shared experience, the plan grew beyond anything the Kim family had initially imagined. Korean families from across the galaxy began forming investment partnerships, pooling their resources through sophisticated financial instruments that would hide their coordinated strategy until the moment they were ready to strike. The beauty of their plan wasn't just its financial cleverness, it was how it turned Galaxy Feast's own prejudice against them. The corporation had spent years dismissing human families as unimportant customers, never realizing that many of those families had become incredibly successful entrepreneurs, scientists, and business leaders. "We're not just fighting for ourselves," Woojin declared, as their apartment filled with holographic representatives from 30 different families across 20 star systems. "We're fighting for every human family's dignity, and we're going to win using the same intelligence and determination that built our businesses, our research institutions, and our communities across the galaxy. Subin looked around at the network. They had assembled in just 1 week, thousands of students ready to organize, dozens of wealthy families ready to invest, hundreds of suppliers ready to coordinate, and one brilliant plan ready to transform Galaxy Feast's discrimination into humanity's greatest business victory. The war room was ready. Now it was time to execute. The attack began at exactly midnight Galactic Standard Time, coordinated across 30 star systems with military precision. Da Yun sat in their apartment's command center, his neural implant synchronized with quantum communication networks that spanned the entire galaxy. Multiple holographic displays showed Galaxy Feast locations from the ice moons of Saturn to the desert trading posts of Kepler 442b. Operation begins now, he announced into his encrypted communicator. All units, execute Phase 1. On New Tokyo, the massive Galaxy Feast flagship restaurant that usually buzzed with wealthy alien diplomats and human business executives suddenly fell silent. The reservation system, which typically showed months of bookings, began displaying cancellation after cancellation. Families who had been planning anniversary dinners, graduation celebrations, and business meetings simply vanished from their customer base overnight. Subin monitored the social media networks as her carefully organized student protesters activated their campaigns. But these weren't ordinary protests with signs and chanting. The engineering students had created something far more sophisticated, holographic projections that told the stories of discriminated families in stunning visual displays that appeared directly outside Galaxy Feast restaurants. At the Cosmic Palace on New Terra, the same vegan manager who had humiliated the Kim family stood bewildered as his premium dining room sat completely empty. The anti-gravity tables that usually hosted wealthy Centaurian nobles and Andromedan traders gleamed unused under the restaurant's expensive lighting systems. "Where are all the humans?" he muttered to his staff, not understanding that humans made up nearly 40% of his typical customer base, customers he had taken for granted while focusing on the more obviously wealthy alien clientele. Meanwhile, Hygien's network of suppliers began Phase 2 of their coordinated assault. Dr. Young-Soo Lee, whose distribution company provided fresh ingredients to 60% of Galaxy Feast locations, sent a simple message to his corporate contacts. "Due to quality concerns and supply chain restructuring, we will be terminating our contracts with Galaxy Feast Corporation effective immediately." The domino effect was devastating. Within 72 hours, Galaxy Feast restaurants across the galaxy found themselves without fresh produce, premium proteins, and specialty ingredients that were essential to their high-end menus. The company's alien customers, accustomed to exotic dishes prepared with rare ingredients from human agricultural colonies, suddenly found themselves offered limited menus with synthetic alternatives. On Mars Station, the massive Galaxy Feast, location that catered to wealthy mining executives, watched their signature dish, Terran beef with hydroponic vegetables, disappear from the menu when their suppliers simply stopped delivering. The Martian manager frantically tried to find alternative sources, but discovered that virtually every human-owned food distributor in the system had simultaneously become unavailable for new contracts. Da-Un tracked the financial impact in real time through his holographic displays. Galaxy Feast's stock price, which had been trading at 847 galactic credits per share, began dropping like a meteor falling through atmosphere. 820, 780, 750, 690. The numbers cascaded downward as investors realized something was seriously wrong. "Dad, look at this," Da-Un called excitedly. "Their quarterly earnings report just came out and it's a disaster. Revenue down 63% from last quarter, and they still have those massive debt payments coming due in 6 weeks. But the most devastating phase was yet to come. The Korean families they had partnered with weren't just wealthy, they were strategically positioned throughout the galactic economy. The Park family's spacecraft manufacturing business quietly suspended maintenance contracts for Galaxy Feast's delivery shuttles. The Choi family's shipping company suddenly found scheduling conflicts that prevented them from transporting Galaxy Feast supplies between star systems. Within 2 weeks, Galaxy Feast locations were running on emergency protocols. Their usual customers, aliens who came for the exclusive atmosphere and premium service, found restaurants operating with skeleton crews, limited menus, and none of the luxury touches that justified their premium prices. The vegan manager at Cosmic Palace paced nervously around his empty dining room, trying to understand what had gone wrong. His bioscanners detected only a handful of customers each night, mostly confused tourists who hadn't heard about the coordinated boycott. The restaurant's advanced AI systems kept suggesting that he reach out to human customer databases to rebuild business, but he dismissed these recommendations as irrelevant. Humans don't matter to our bottom line, he told his worried staff, not realizing that his own employment records showed human customers had generated nearly half of Cosmic Palace's revenue over the past year. The death blow came during Galaxy Feast Corporation's emergency board meeting, the holographic conference room filled with panicked executives from across the galaxy, as CEO Zarthon, a tall crystalline being from the Vega system, demanded answers for the company's collapsing stock price. "How did we lose control of 71% of our outstanding debt?" he roared, his crystalline form flickering with angry energy patterns. "These bonds were scattered across hundreds of investment firms just last month." The chief financial officer, a nervous Altarian with trembling tentacles, projected the ownership analysis that had shocked them all. "Sir, it appears that a coordinated group of investors has been systematically purchasing our distressed debt through shell companies and investment partnerships. They now control enough of our financial obligations to force a complete restructuring." "Who are these investors?" Zarthon demanded. "The primary coordination appears to come from human families, sir, specifically Korean business networks that have been operating across multiple star systems." The boardroom fell silent as the implications sank in. Galaxy Feast Corporation, which had built its reputation on excluding and discriminating against human customers, was now effectively owned by the very families they had spent years humiliating. On New Terra, Woojin Kim adjusted his best suit and walked through the crystal entrance of Cosmic Palace. The same robotic doorman that had welcomed him weeks earlier now scanned his biometrics and immediately displayed a new message. "Welcome, Dr. Kim. Galaxy Feast Corporation ownership has been transferred. You now have full administrative access to all facilities." The vegan manager looked up from his empty reception desk, his silver eyes widening in recognition and growing horror as he realized who was approaching. Behind Woojin, Hyejin, Daeun, and Subin entered the restaurant that had once rejected them. But this time they weren't seeking a table. They were taking their seats at the head of a galactic empire. The transformation of Galaxy Feast began immediately after the Kim family took control. Woojin stood in the corporate headquarters on Proxima Station, surrounded by holographic displays showing all 800 restaurant locations across 30 star systems. The massive command center, once used to coordinate discrimination against human families, now buzzed with activity as the new management team implemented sweeping changes. "Daeun, show me the staff analysis for all locations," Woojin said, his voice carrying the authority of someone who had turned corporate prejudice into personal victory. His son's neural implant interfaced with the company's quantum databases, revealing shocking statistics. "Dad, look at this. 68% of Galaxy Feast's kitchen staff, servers, and maintenance workers are human, but only 3% held management positions. They were using our people as invisible labor, while keeping us out of customer-facing roles." Subin manipulated another holographic display showing the previous corporate structure. The discrimination was built into their system. Human employees were automatically flagged for back-of-house positions only, regardless of their qualifications or experience. The first change came swiftly. Hyejin, now serving as Chief Operations Officer, sent a galaxy-wide message to all human employees. Effective immediately, all qualified staff members will be considered for promotion based on merit, experience, and leadership potential, not species or appearance. At Cosmic Palace on New Terra, the vegan manager who had humiliated the Kim family watched in horror as his own world turned upside down. Minnie, A Korean server who had worked in the kitchen for 3 years despite having a degree in hospitality management, walked into his office wearing a manager's uniform. "I'm here to discuss the transition of responsibilities," she said calmly, holding a tablet with her new assignment. "I'll be taking over as head manager of this location. You've been reassigned to kitchen maintenance duties, effective today." The former manager's silver skin turned pale as he realized the full scope of his fall from power. "This is outrageous. I've managed this restaurant for 5 years." "Yes," Minnie replied evenly, "and in those 5 years you turned away thousands of potential customers, created a hostile work environment for human staff, and cost this company millions of credits in lost revenue. Your management style is exactly what we're changing." Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out at every Galaxy Feast location. Human employees who had been ignored, overlooked, and relegated to invisible positions suddenly found themselves in leadership roles. The company's new training programs emphasized respect for all species, with special focus on recognizing the contributions of employees who had been systematically excluded from advancement. But the Kim family's vision went far beyond simple revenge. They rebuilt Galaxy Feast into something entirely new, a restaurant chain that truly welcomed all beings while showcasing the best of human creativity and hospitality. Each location was redesigned to celebrate both local cultures and interspecies cooperation. The grand reopening of Cosmic Palace became a galaxy-wide event. Spacecraft from dozens of star systems descended on New Terra as news networks prepared to broadcast the ceremony. The restaurant's new design blended traditional Korean architecture with advanced alien technology, creating spaces that felt both elegant and welcoming. Hee-jin stood before the assembled crowd, which included the same alien families who had watched silently during their original humiliation. Her voice carried clearly through the restaurant's quantum communication system, broadcasting to millions of viewers across human colonies. "3 months ago, my family was denied service at this very restaurant," she began, her words measured and powerful. "The manager told us we didn't belong here, that we should find somewhere more suitable for our kind. Tonight, I want to make something clear. They were right about one thing. We didn't belong in their version of this restaurant." She gestured to the transformed space around them, where human and alien staff worked together seamlessly, where families of all species sat at tables designed for different body types and cultural preferences, where the menu celebrated cuisines from across the galaxy. "We belonged in this version, a place where excellence and hospitality matter more than prejudice, where success is measured by how well we serve all customers, not by how many we can exclude." The impact of Galaxy Feast's transformation rippled across the galactic economy. Other human families, inspired by the Kim family's success, began organizing similar campaigns against discriminatory businesses. The Lee family targeted a chain of luxury hotels that charged humans higher rates for the same rooms. The Park family coordinated a takeover of a spacecraft manufacturer that refused to hire human engineers for senior positions. Da-Yoon established the Human Economic Alliance, a network that helped coordinate these efforts while providing financial and strategic support to families facing discrimination. His neural implant processed data from thousands of businesses across the galaxy, identifying patterns of prejudice and economic vulnerabilities that could be exploited. "We're not trying to dominate other species," he explained to reporters during a press conference on Mars Station. "We're simply demanding equal treatment and proving that human intelligence, creativity, and determination are forces that can't be ignored." The success stories multiplied. Within 6 months, human families had gained controlling interests in major transportation companies, manufacturing corporations, and service industries throughout the galaxy. Each victory followed the same pattern: coordinated economic pressure, strategic debt acquisition, and systematic replacement of discriminatory practices with fair, merit-based policies. Soo Bin, now heading Galaxy Feast's technology division, developed new innovations that revolutionized the hospitality industry. Her neural interface systems allowed restaurants to automatically adjust environments for different species' comfort needs, while her holographic menu systems could display food options in any alien language or cultural context. the former vegan manager, now working as a dishwasher at Cosmic Palace, watched the success unfold around him with growing understanding. Minnie, his former subordinate turned supervisor, approached him during a quiet moment in the kitchen. "You know what the real difference is?" she asked gently. "We don't exclude you from staff meetings. We don't deny you opportunities for advancement if you prove yourself. We don't judge you based on your species or appearance. We're giving you the same chances you refused to give us." The transformation was complete when Galaxy Feast reported record profits in their first quarter under human management. Customer satisfaction ratings reached all-time highs, as beings from across the galaxy discovered restaurants that truly welcomed everyone. The company that had once built its reputation on exclusivity now thrived on inclusion. At the one-year anniversary celebration, Wu Jin stood once again in Cosmic Palace, but this time he was surrounded by his family, his employees, and customers from dozens of different worlds. The restaurant buzzed with the sound of multiple languages, the sight of different species sharing meals and conversation, and the energy of a business built on respect rather than prejudice. "They thought we were powerless," Yujin said in her speech that night, her words broadcast to every Galaxy Feast location across the galaxy. Instead, they discovered that underestimating human determination is the most expensive mistake in the universe. The Kim family's triumph had become something larger than anyone had imagined. The beginning of humanity's transformation from marginalized citizens to respected economic leaders throughout galactic society. They had proven that intelligence, coordination, and unwavering determination could overcome any form of discrimination. And in restaurants across 30 star systems, families of all species now sat together, sharing meals and building the kind of galaxy the Kim family had always dreamed of, one where everyone truly belonged. The end.